Hi, we'll be your tour guides for the day.
I'm tour guide Brianne.
I'm tour guide Brittney.
And I'm tour guide Barbie.
Today, we'll be taking a look at 5 super cool historic sites around Rome. We'll be exploring the Circus Maximus, Colosseum, Palatine Hill, the Roman Forum, and the Pantheon. Join us on our tour as we take a journey into the past and walk around ancient Rome.
If you look to your left, you'll see the Circus Maximus, or Circus Maximus to the locals. This may just look like a regular old public park to you, but Circus Maximus was an ancient chariot racing stadium. Located between Aventine and Palatine Hill, Circus Maximus was the largest of the Roman hippodromes, which were stadiums for chariot or horse races. It was also one of the biggest sports arenas ever built. It was 2,037 feet long and 738 feet wide.
As you can see, nothing remains of the stadium, but in ancient times, it was built in a U shape, with seats on 3 sides and a low wall running down the middle of the arena that the chariots raced around. During Julius Caesar's rule, it was rebuilt to seat around 150,000 spectators, but was later enlarged by emperors until it reached a maximum size and can seat an estimated 250,000 people.
Whoa! The circus was Rome's largest venue for ludi. Ludi were public games sponsored by leading Romans or the Roman state that were held for the benefit and entertainment of Roman citizens. The celebrations lasted anywhere from half a day to several days. Ludi included religious ceremonies and public feasts, horse and chariot racing, athletics, beast hunts, plays, recitals, and gladiatorial fights. Oh, and the occasional public execution. When games weren't being held, Circus Maximus was likely an open space with shops and booths occupied by low-cost performing artists, prostitutes, fortune tellers, and jugglers.
Wow, that's so cool! We have a winner! Now, coming up in front of us is the Colosseum. I know many of you are excited for this stop. The Colosseum is an ancient amphitheater that was commissioned by Emperor Flavius nearly 1,950 years ago in 70 AD. This amphitheater was the largest one in the ancient world, measuring 190 by 155 meters. The Colosseum was built for the people to pacify them after the many civil wars that had taken place after the death of Nero. The Colosseum opened in 80 AD, 10 years after it had been commissioned. This is actually a short amount of time for a building of this size. The grand opening of the Colosseum took place with a parade and 100 days of games. Wow!
Unfortunately, this amphitheater fell out of use after around 4 centuries of the fall of the Roman Empire. The amphitheater was taken apart and used for building materials for other projects around Rome, most notably St. Peter's Basilica. Today, only 1/3 of the original Colosseum remains, as you can see by looking at it from here. The iconic shape of the Colosseum that we know today is actually quite different from what it looked like when it was new.
If you look carefully at the different tiers, you can see that there are different styles of columns that support the arches. The bottom arches are a planar style and have Doric columns. The middle layer has the slightly more elaborate Ionic columns, and at the top we have the detailed Corinthian pillars.
Wow, that's really cool! I didn't know that! Unfortunately, our tour does not include the inside of the Colosseum. If you're inside, you could see the remains of the seating. The Colosseum used to have ornate marble seating and shade coverings that came down from the top. It was quite elaborate. Many people of Rome would come and watch the fights and games that took place in the Colosseum. There were fights between the gladiators or even fights with wild animals. These fights were quite popular with everyone in Rome. The gladiators were mostly men and could be prisoners of war, condemned criminals, slaves, or regular citizens fighting for glory.
We are now going to move over to Palatine Hill. Get ready, everyone. It's a short walk.
Woohoo! What we're looking at now is Palatine Hill. Palatine Hill was the centermost of the 7 hills of Rome. From Palatine Hill, you can see hundreds of ruins that used to be buildings. They were created for the ancient Roman high society. Roman upper-class people settled on Palatine Hill during the Republican period. They built luxurious palaces, the remains of which we can still find here.
According to Roman mythology, Palatine Hill was the location of the Lupercal. For those of you not up to date on all your Roman mythology, the Lupercal is a supposed cave where Romulus and Remus were said to be found by the she-wolf Lupa, who in turn kept them alive.
You don't say!
Another legend taking place on Palatine is Hercules' defeat of Cacus. Cacus, a fire-breathing giant, had stolen some cattle, and Hercules didn't exactly like this. Hercules hit Cacus with his trusty club so hard that it made a cleft on the southeast corner of the hill, just over there. Later, a staircase with the name Cacus was constructed on the spot.
We're now approaching the Roman Forum, or the Forum Romanum to the locals.
Yay!
This forum originates with the founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus. After Romulus defeated his brother, aka stabbed his brother in the back, and became king of Rome, he made an alliance with another enemy, Titus Cassius. Romulus declared the forum neutral ground where they could meet without fighting.
At first, the forum was just a gathering place for people where they would buy and sell goods. Over time, it became more functional and public affairs were held in it, starting from around 500 BC. The forum was developed over several centuries. Different buildings and structures were built to house the many gatherings. The forum was also used for many different things. Elections and speeches took place in the forum, along with social gatherings, business dealings, and religious ceremonies. The forum continued its use as a marketplace where people could buy and sell goods.
Eventually, the forum got too small. During the rule of Julius Caesar, the forum was getting overcrowded. He built another forum off to the side, which was later added on to by Augustus, his successor.
I see.
The forum eventually fell out of use as economic and political events took place elsewhere. The last big expansion to the forum was in 312 AD. Most of the buildings that you see here were destroyed in 410 AD. During the Middle Ages, it was mainly used as a grazing land for cattle. Cattle, you say?
Yes, I do say. The forum was rediscovered in 1803. Excavations took place for over 100 years. Today, the forum is a popular tourist attraction.
We are now going to our last site, the Pantheon. Get ready because it's a bit of a walk.
It's raining! We have now moved to our last site, the Pantheon.
Oh boy!
Yes, I know it was a longer walk, but I promise it'll be worth it. Some background information. The Pantheon was believed to have started being constructed in 25 BC. The project was believed to be started by Marcus Agrippa, son-in-law of Augustus. It was thought to be finished and dedicated in 126 to 128 AD. Originally, though, it was thought to be a temple for the Roman gods, and it can be inferred from the name it was given. In Greek, Pan means all, and Theos means gods.
But the road for the Pantheon was not easy. I'll give you a quick overview of the events that led to it becoming a church and built the way it is now. In 80 AD, the first Pantheon was destroyed by fire. In 110 AD, just 30 years later, the second Pantheon building was struck by lightning and also destroyed. It wasn't fully completed, as I said before, until 126 AD. This means that the Pantheon we know and love today is actually the third reiteration. The Pantheon was repaired in 202 AD by Septimus Severus and Caracalla. In 608 AD, the Pantheon was converted into a Christian church.
Let's dive into some of the information about the building itself. It was primarily built with bricks and concrete and some marble as well. Did you know that in order to make it, they actually had to get all of the columns transported from Egypt?
Really? Wow!
Yeah, and actually it's one of the largest of its kind, with 142 feet in diameter. It has perfect dimensions and was constructed so very carefully.
The Pantheon itself actually has three main sections. It has a portico with granite columns, a massive domed rotunda, and a rectangular area that connects the two. Did you know that they used to have two bell towers as well? At the top of the dome sits an oculus, which is 27 feet in width, although it looks far smaller when you're looking up for it. Speaking of oculus, did you know that you can find markings on the floor in the Pantheon? And when you stand directly under them and look up, you are right under the oculus.
Ooh. Since there would be no easy way to cover the oculus, the Pantheon lets things such as rain, birds, and more all in. If you look around, you can see that the interior walls and floors are decorated with marble and gilt. When you look up at the dome ceiling, you'll see that it contains 5 rings of 28 rectangular coffers, which are these. A fun fact is that the entire Pantheon used to be covered in bronze. That's a lot of bronze they must have used. Another thing that we found shocking is that the Pantheon can fit a perfect sphere inside of it.
Wow! The Pantheon actually had a huge impact on the further years to come. It was a later huge inspiration to famous painters all over the world, all from different backgrounds, not just Rome. Some of the works are now all around Rome and can be found in some museums, which we will also tour if you want to check that out in the future. When Michelangelo saw the Pantheon after construction, he said it was the design of angels. Crazy, right? The Pantheon was not only inspiring, but it was also a burial site. Some important Renaissance figures, including Raphael, were buried there. We can also see some monarchs were buried there, including Vittorio Emanuele II.
Well, everyone, what did you think on today's tour? Which site was your favorite? I hope you at least learned something, big or small, and I hope you don't forget everything we just said. And if you can't promise that, I hope you at least got some good photos that you can share or post. Be sure to check out some of our other tours as well.
It was so fun!
Bonus clip! Make sure you say dive and not die.
Alright, I got this.
Pronunciate.
Let's die.
Are you telling me I can't
She goes,
speak?
let's die into some of the information last time.
Wait, what?
Life alone.